Okay, it's 5:30, time to call our meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any items that trustees would like to have removed from the consent agenda?
I have none.
Okay. Any public comments at this time? Yes, sir.
If I could just have a minute or two of the board's time to recognize a few individuals that made it possible for us to go to the new police department. If you give me that. First and foremost, on behalf of the police department, we want to thank the board for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. If it had not been for you guys, this would not have taken off. What you guys gave us was a tool to be able to serve the community of Clear Creek Township better, and we appreciate that, and I know they will. Second, I'd like to recognize Mr. Carlos for all his hard work on the financial end of the project. Thank you. Next, I'd like to thank Mr. Clark for all of your hard work, endless days, lots of meetings. We thank you for that. We want to especially thank you for all of your hard work, your vision, mentorship, and leadership. That being said, the police department went together and got you something to show our appreciation to you. So, this is a certificate of appreciation and grateful recognition of your hard work, dedication to opening the Clear Creek Township Police Department headquarters. Hereby present Chief John Terrell with this certificate of appreciation and company flag that will be flown over the building for 24 hours.
I had to cut a lot of costs to do it, we can only afford to get more than one time.
A little more than he has.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we do have, next item is special activities. I want to let you know too, we're going to move item 3 on the, under new business, being new business, up to special activities also, and that's the retirement of Officer Day. So first of all, we do have, under special activities, we have the Stork Award presented to Lieutenant Naveed Khan and firefighter paramedics Jordan Holbrook and Jimmy Powell.
So I would say a couple words from
Yes,
So when paramedics go to school, they're put into they do a lot of training, they're given a lot of scenarios. A lot of those scenarios are unbelievable, if you will. So for example, you're the only medic left in town. There's a winter storm that popped up, the roads are real icy. Most of the crews are on a 6-car pileup on Township Line Road, and the rest of the crews are on 48, dealing with all the other crashes that we had. And oh yeah, by the way, all the mutual aid around us that we typically rely on, they're dealing with their own issues too. So you've just been dispatched to an OB run or a mother in active labor, go. So then as you're responding to the call, you get an update, something along the lines, oh yeah, so the mother is in labor, and the baby's breech. Those are the kinds of scenarios that they give you that you're like, that's not true, that'll never happen. Well, I'm not giving you a scenario, I'm telling you what happened on this day. So our crews responded, it was medic only, it was firefighter, paramedic Jimmy Powell and Jordan Holbrook arrived first to find the mother in active labor with the baby breech. So Lieutenant Naveed Khan, the EMS supervisor, did show up later. Duty calls, he had to go on another call, so he was not able to be here tonight. But I would like to bring Jimmy Powell and Jordan Holbrook forward along with Tracy Gabbard to present the awards. Want to come up?
So I'm Trustee Gabbard. I'm the clinical nurse manager at Kettering Health, Washington Township Maternity. So I had heard from my charge nurse that this had happened. They're like, oh, we had a home delivery, the squad brought him in. And I was like, okay, that's great. Okay, everything okay? Everything's fine. So I just happened to, I think you passed my office at one point, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Clear Creek Township. So I have some ties to Clear Creek Township, so I reached out to Trustee Gabbard, and I said, is there a way you can get these pins? We have pins that are stork pins, the medical cross with the stork pins on them. Could you get those to them? And he said, well, I have a better idea. We can come to the meeting and do it there. So that's why we're here. And I contacted the Chong family, and the Chong family are also here too. So yeah. So these are medical cross pins with their swords. And we give those to anyone that, any of our medics who deliver babies out in the field. So, congratulations, great job.
Thank you.
An appreciation for what you
So we would like to reiterate our thanks to you gentlemen. It's probably too much to expect someone to show up halfway through a relatively ugly delivery in the middle of a snowstorm when, you know, someone's home alone by themselves.
I have a 3-year-old.
She was helping, kind of. And he has told that story many times to everybody he meets. But we would not only would we like to say thank you, we'd like to give you a card that the kids made.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And then we also would like to give you our favorite monster truck. So, probably the best we got for gifts. So thank you very much.
Can we get a picture together? God, thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, that is my wife, and I did not know they did that. So I heard the story first from our people, and then I heard it again from my wife, and just a neat thing, and I know it was, like you said, it's not really something that's ever going to happen, but it does. So, well done, gentlemen.
Very nice, great. Okay, next item on the agenda is a recommendation to accept the service retirement of Police Officer Eric A. effective April 14th. With profound gratitude for his service to our community and the sacrifice he's made in the line of duty. There's a motion to accept this retirement for Eric to go into retirement.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Mears.
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Yay. Eric's not here tonight, but we wish him well in his future endeavors. I hope we'll see him around sometime. I'm sure we will.
He comes back around relatively frequently.
Good to see him. Oh, good, that's great. Okay. Jason, I'm going to take over.
I am taking over. We are going to go into a public hearing. If I can give you guys time to close up shop here. That's I can do, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Famous last words.
Welcome to stay for the sausage meeting.
I'm at half a pound. How's it going, you all?
They seem extra excited to hear that we were moving. So we're going into a public hearing, so we need to suspend the public meeting. We need to do that by vote. And open public hearing is a motion.
I move that we close this meeting.
Second.
Mr. Mears, Paul. Mr. Gabbard.
Yay. This is regarding Resolution 5420, a resolution to approve, modify, or deny the zone change application at 2815 Factory Road, parcel ID 04-13-151-026 and 04-13-300-0471, rezoning 24.9236 acres from suburban residence zone SR1 to residence zone R1 and dispense with the second reading. Mr. Palmer.
So we're looking at the location map. These are two parcels, Factory Road, we're just north of Lower Springboro. I'm going to provide a survey that we're going to show a little bit more detail with regards to location. So, two parcels, these are two structures. So when we look at the rezoning of the property, currently it has an SR1 classification, which was put in place back in 2005 as updates to the master land use plan. Prior to that, served from 1973 to 2005 as an R1 zoning classification. Ultimately, this is a straight zone request. No use is required, no layouts required, and it's the plan, no open space. It's just a request from one residential classification to the other. But the applicant did state in their reason for the application, zone change request from suburban residential SR1 to residence zone R1. Current zoning does not provide for farm-based tourism. When zoning is changed, we apply for conditional use permit for farm-based tourism. So agriculture can occur in any zoning classification, but the conditional uses of farm-based tourism started back in 2008 and was modified in 2017 only for the open space SR1, TR1, which is township residence, and residence in R1. Back in 1973, if you were to look at this map, everything within the township had a base level zoning classification of R1, which is the white color. So we're going to look at the surrounding zoning classifications. First, this gray area is the city of Springboro. We'll look at Quick Creek Township unincorporated first and look at the city of Springboro. So to the north we have SR1, R1. To the east we have SR1. To the south we have SR1 and some R1. When we look at the city of Springboro, this being a property that has been reconfigured since this map was done. We have an R1, we have an R1 PUD, and then we have an employment center district to the west. When we look at zone change, we're looking at the land use plan. We'll bring a couple of those maps up for discussion. The first is sanitary sewer potential. It's in the pink. This area has potential for sanitary sewer, though it does not, at this point in time, have sanitary sewer across the entire property. There's access that does occur along its northern boundary. We look at the road network. This is a local road. We're looking at the planning area. This is in planning area 3, which is the Springboro buffer. So the mixture of agricultural land and residential road frontage development. Sewer is not present, but potentially available. And if we look at the corresponding update land use plan in this butter color, which I like to call it, it looks different on every map, but butter seems to be most appropriate for me. Not buttercream for some reason, but wrong with butter. Came there in which we had the transition between what was the city density and then the green areas were the more intensive, less intensive zoning classifications for density, so 1.5 acre and 2 acre minimum lot size. So the area which became next to the city was previously R1, became SR1. The zone change of that time basically allowed them to do a smaller panhandle, but the lot size of a 1/2 acre or sanitary connection or acre minimum for non-sanitary connection was the same. However, when you look at the uses that could exist underneath the R1, you do have additional expansion of conditional uses with the specified farm-based tourism. And the reason that the suburban residential didn't have it back in 2008 when it was first introduced as a concept, there wasn't a thought that anyone within that barrier area, so to speak, the buffer area between the city and the larger lots would want to utilize that use. What we're finding today with this request is that there's a desire for continuation of agriculture and that type of use in the buffer area, and the only way to explore that option through a conditional use permit is actually get the zone change request to one of the classifications, the OSR1, the R1, or the TR1. Some felt more appropriate to go to an R1 since that was the classification was prior to 2005. 174 Warren County Regional Planning was recommended to approve as submitted. Went before the Zoning Commission. They also agreed with regional planning, and they put forth the following rationale for a recommendation to approve: that Clifford Township Master Plan anticipates the area to remain residential. The request is less intensive residential zoning classification, changes a more rural zoning classification consistent with the policy to maintain rural lot size in the township, which contributes to the quality of life, property owners, neighbors, as well as drivers, through the establishment or perpetuation of rural icons. With that, you have for you this evening resolution to specify as an approved, modify, or deny. I can answer any questions to the board.
Steve, do you have anything?
So we're basically going to be putting it back to R1, which it was originally before it was SR1.
Yeah, the request this evening is to go back to the R1. So notice that the land use plan didn't exist. It said, at that point in time, it was brought in thinking it was probably going to develop, wanting to have more competition, so to speak, with what could be sanitary lots. But also during the land use discussion, that butter area was a buffer, so to speak. And we didn't know where it was going to be, what was going to occur. This is an opportunity to continuation as an agricultural area. Definitely with the R1 it can occur, definitely with the SR1 agriculture can occur, but the conditional uses are only appropriate in the R1. So yeah, it's going back to what it was prior. I guess I should have just said yes to. It was a big circle.
After all that.
After all that, yes, you're correct.
That was a surprise to all.
That's how you build a clock.
Thank you.
Gonna make it sausages. I don't have anything. I mean, this one is pretty straightforward to me. This has happened in other situations because of agritourism. I mean, the rules were different the last time it was affected, so, public comment?
And so at this point, open up to the applicants and public comment.
Right, so first open it up for the applicant.
Jeff did a great job explaining it, and that's, unless somebody has some particular questions.
Okay. Yes,
I have
sir.
a question. My name is John Treon.
Can you come up to the dais, please,
Okay.
sir?
My name is John Treon. I own the property to the east, directly adjacent to the plant.
Okay.
What is agritourism?
There are many forms of it. I'll give you an example. Next door to me, I have a 32-acre wedding venue. It's not just a wedding venue, but they do other things, utilizing the space and the farm itself as part of that. The old haunted hayride that used to be on Springboro Road is also next door to us. That was another, by definition. Jeff, you can go into more detail.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's a definition that talks about agritourism and then farm-based tourism. Farm-based tourism is what activities conducted on a farm and offered to the public or invited guests or groups for purposes of recreation, entertainment, hospitality are able to be classified as agritourism. So we started off with agritourism, then the state came forward and said, hey, we're going to do agritourism, which was different than what we had, so we created what's called farm-based tourism. Ultimately, you have to first of all have a farm, so it has to remain with a CAED designation, and then as a secondary activity, you go through a conditional use permit request, and if approved, with that site plan review, you would have the opportunity for recreation, entertainment, hospitality uses. So with recreation, fishing, horseback riding, stargazing, hiking, entertainment, concerts, barn dances, haunted house, haunted hayride, scavenger hunts, hospitality, bed and breakfast, retreat centers, assembly areas, country weddings, and the like. So those are uses that would exist. So to go from the request proceedings go from suburban residential to rural residential, what is rural residential now, the residence R1 classification, that's a step one. That doesn't guarantee any of the conditional uses. That's a secondary public hearing. But that's what the request is, to keep it as a farm, but then have additional uses pop up on the site.
So what is your intention?
I have built a building there that when I started this project, I definitely intended on renting it out to weddings and parties, business meetings. I'm not so sure what I'm going to do with it now. As I've gotten older, I don't really need another job. And but I expect that I'll have birthday parties for kids, and probably a wedding, or maybe a wedding reception. Something. The venue's not very big. I can't put very many people in there, but I could certainly put 80 people in there if they use two. So I've got two sides, and but you could get that many people in there.
Okay.
And also, they might, if they wanted to, they could put a tent outside in my gravel parking lot if they wanted to.
Well, how close is this to where your parents, or I guess you grew up there?
I did.
Okay, is it close to your homestead there, or?
It's within 30 feet of my house.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and right up against the, the north property line. In
Okay.
fact, Jeff?
Yeah, well, your survey just showed the structure that you're.
Yeah, well, I'll show you.
I mean, are we talking like country concert type thing?
Nope,
You know,
no noise.
that was my first reaction, I'm like,
No, I agree. No, in fact, I expect when we get to that portion, I would expect that some of the things that we've done in the past is eliminate or set a time where if you're going to have music, you have to shut it off at 10 or 11, whatever
Okay.
we negotiate, and I expect that to be the case here too. So I'll show you. This is my house,
okay,
and this is the new building that's already there.
okay,
And it's finished finally. 3-year project, but finally got done. And this side is kind of a man cave with a commercial kitchen in it. I cook. And then there's a breezeway, and over here is a garage. Garage with finished floors and has its own heating and air conditioning. So if somebody wanted to put tables and chairs in there, they could do that. Serve out of this side or just use that side. I had last year, I had a cousin that graduated from high school, and she had her graduation party there. I didn't rent it, I just wanted to use it, so I let her use it. And it worked out great.
so where's your Walnut Grove?
That would be right here.
Where?
Hold on. It starts, this lot, I gave a lot to each one of my daughters, and the walnuts start about right here, and they go up to about right here and down. So this is it right here.
Okay,
And then the pond, so because I know you're very familiar with it, I bought this piece of property from Mrs. Rupert
right,
a few years ago to protect that. Now, I don't know if you know, but I redid that pond and dug
Yeah.
that out, made it, put fish in it again, so. And of course, I know you live over here, and I don't think we've ever met. It's very nice to meet you.
yeah, nice meeting you.
Yeah. And so I bought that, and I would love if she would ever sell it to buy this from her too, but otherwise, when something happens to Paula, this will go to her son, and he'll probably want to put houses in there. And I'm trying not to get more houses. So if I could get my hands on it, then at least in my lifetime, there won't be a house on it.
Oh, okay,
Now, I never know what my kids will do,
right.
but they're likely to not put houses on either. So that's our goal as being on it. We did move there in 1953, though. So, and other than, I guess I probably didn't live there 20 years of my 74 years, but the rest of the time I've lived there.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay,
But that's the plan.
all right, I just wanted to have an idea of what was
Sure.
going on and what your,
Well, I know this is a great spot you guys have over here, and now, of course, as you know, they're going to develop the houses are coming.
mhm.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you, it's nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Okay, all right.
With nothing else, do I have a motion to close the public hearing and go back into the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. And I'm going to make a motion to approve this zone change.
I'll second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay.
Well, Mr. Wade, you can rejoin us on the dais.
Okay.
This is one of those different nights. We don't usually, this is the exception by far.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're moving on to item 6, fiscal business. Russell, what do you have for us tonight?
Yes, sir. I have not too much for you, but I do have something that needs to get fixed. Originally, many years ago, the township fiscal officer and the trustees chose the annual salary method, and that happened in 2007. But it's been an inconsistent pay that we've been paying people. Sometimes it was paid on the first day a long time ago, sometimes it was paid on the second day, sometimes paid on the third day. And there's a resolution that I would like to have that would get us paid on the first pay of the month. The reason for that being is that when we have third pay of the month, we don't get the money in for the pensions and for the health insurance and all those until the next month, which puts us really 2 months behind because we are paid in arrears. So even though we get the money that we earn in February, gets paid in March. But then sometimes the pension and the rest of that stuff doesn't happen until April. So just to be on the safe side, we have this resolution in before the board that would enable us to change that payroll date to the first pay of the month. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have on that.
Okay, so resolution 5421 is a resolution defining the monthly compensation cycle, which is what Russ is talking about. Anybody have any questions about 5421?
I do not.
Is there a motion to approve 5421?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else, Russ?
Nope, that's it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. New business administration, we have recommendations to direct the township administrator to solicit competitive bids for construction of pickleball courts at Patricia Allen Park pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 13153.
Yeah, it's the competitive bidding section, the Ohio Revised Code. So if the board will recall, we did this in the fall, and we only, unfortunately, we only received one bid back, and we felt that it was not competitive at that time. So, sat on it, refined it, got KCF to develop some drawings for us, including materials and estimated materials, that kind of thing. And we have a professionally called site plan to be able to put out there too. So with the board's permission, I'd like to put that back out on the street for re-bidding, competitive bidding, and move forward with the project, particularly with ARPA funds. And the reminder that we have a matching bid from the state budget, biennial budget, for up to $100,000.
What's the time limit on that?
I believe we have to have the fund expended by, it's recommended by the next budget cycle, so.
We definitely, for the ARPA, have to have that, we have to have the ARPA money at least encumbered this year.
Oh, the ARPA money encumbered this year, the biennial budget, we really should have it expended by the end of this year, end of, 24.
24, all right. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, is there a motion to direct the administrator to put this out for competitive bids?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
And we have a recommendation to set the administrative office hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Yeah, I didn't want to do this unilaterally without the board's consent, because I know the hours have been pretty consistent, 9 to 5, for quite some time, but with police moving up the hill, setting their own hours, it was the desire of most of the hourly staff down here to adjust the hours of operation from 8 to 4 instead of 9 to 5, which I didn't have any problem with. So I at least wanted the board's consent and acknowledgement of it before we made that change. If you feel strongly about it one way or the other, I'm not going to.
I don't have a,
I mean,
it's fine with me.
we don't really have any studies telling us that one's better than the other, so.
I'd say you can direct it to change them 8 to 4. Okay. Recommendation to accept the farmer renewal for property casualty insurance effective April 1st, 2023 at the cost of $119,000.
Yeah, that's $15,000 more than we paid last year, but, you just spent the last hour walking through why, a good deal of why that's increased, including the road building as well as some new fire equipment. You know, we've got a ladder equipment coming on board, new rescue and that kind of thing. So, I got this very, very late on Friday, so I wasn't able to get the bill processed in time to get it paid. But Pat got the details to me in enough time to add the renewal approval from the board to the agenda. So I asked the board to do that at this time.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the expenditure for our insurance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Anything else?
No.
Police Department, a recommendation to create a full-time employment position of administrative police specialist and to set the starting pay at $25 an hour.
Yeah, this is a continuation of the grant stuff that we did with the cameras and also discussion Mr. Clark and I have had, because we've had the separation of buildings. We have one clerk up there and one clerk down here. So anybody that takes a day off, any vacation that we have to break, any sick days we have to break, we're having to use higher paid personnel to do that. Today, Savannah left for half a day and I had Wally to sit at the desk. It doesn't make any sense having a police lieutenant sitting there at great wage he's making, so that was one of the components we were looking at, is how to resolve a rotation that would exist where with the three of them, somehow we could spell each other on those particular times and rotate those personnel around. Talked a little further with the union about it and looking at the function of the new building. There are a lot of times we pull policemen off the street and take boots off the ground to come in and do things. And every day we look at any charges from the previous night. Somebody has to drive down to the county, file those charges early in the morning. It takes a police officer out of the township and out of the jurisdiction. Sometimes that leaves maybe only one car in the jurisdiction to do that. So I wanted to look at an enhanced position rather than just a clerk, with somebody that would be a commission position. They would have some limited police power through that commission position at a much lower rate, that they could fit into this new position in some way. That person would also look at handling some of the evidence. A lot of places are privatizing that. I'm not crazy about privatizing that, but this would be a commission person that could help out in the property room, taking stuff to the labs, because we have to go to London, we have to go to Dayton with some of that lab work, and again, that pulls a police officer off the street to do that, or I got to pay overtime to do that. So that would allow us to have some flexibility there. If somebody wants to come in and do a report, rather than have to wait to pull a policeman in from the street, and maybe I got every car tied up, if it's during the day and there is a private property accident, a theft report, that person at the desk could take that report, keep the police officer on the street, rather than us have to call that person in. Maybe it takes 30 minutes for that police officer to get here. So it's a kind of a unique hybrid position that fits the bill of the dilemma we face with breaking ourselves, along with keeping officers on the street at a much cheaper rate in doing that.
Talk about editing.
Right, and then part of the main component was back to the camera issue of having to have somebody that can handle this public records request when they come in. And we've had that. It doesn't just exist with the body cameras. We've had that issue with car cameras. It's just not as been as frequent as maybe the 3 or 4 body camera that somebody's going to have on their ground want that. So as far as the budget, I looked at, Mr. Clark and I talked, I have some part-time positions that I've kept on the record. I would stay within the current budget you've given me. I would just not fill 2 of those part-time positions with wages and benefits as a full-time job. They would fit within 2 of those part-time positions. Doesn't harm us. We've got Officer Schragi that will fill in June, I think our last authorized strength full-time position, which would basically be Eric's position to backfill, and that'll be coming. So we'll have a full complement of police officers on the street. I'd like to keep them on the street and out doing those activities there, and this would provide for that. So I would ask that we create this position a little bit different than a clerk, and more enhanced, and then it's run that on it. So I'd ask that you create the position, allow us to do that.
Okay, if I have any questions for the chief? Okay, is there a motion to create this administrative police specialist position, starting at a rate at $25 per hour.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Sounds like a good idea.
I think it'll benefit the public for, coming and invoking complaints and like I said, he's boots on the ground on the street, has some police here. And it helps us out with the,
Good. Okay, we also have a resolution 5422, resolution approving a memorandum of understanding by and between the Board of Clear Creek Township Trustees, the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, Patrol Officer Bargaining Agreement, Bargaining Unit, and dispensing with the second reading.
since we are creating the position, and it does touch some police work, we had to go to the union and work out a compromise with that. They certainly want the position, the union does, because it will get them away from some of those menial tasks that they have to do. They recognize they need to be on the street, so they have been on board with creating this since we first started discussing it. The MOU wraps that up from their side and their attorney's side, that we're not going to encroach into a police officer's position at a much lower rate of pay and create some union issue there. So since it does touch some police functions and the person would have a commission, they were for doing this and they agreed to sign the MOU. So I'd ask the board to accept that MOU because it's been negotiated between the two parties. So that's them.
They are not in the bargaining unit.
And the MOU specifically spells out that this is not a bargaining unit position, cannot be.
Okay. All better. Okay, is there a motion to approve resolution 5422?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Still Monday, right? Okay.
I'll be looking for those two part-time positions to disappear, John.
I trust you'll watch me.
You betcha, buddy.
I just have one other quick thing if I could.
Yeah.
We, last week concluded the court aspect of a seizure we had in process. Probably a year and a half ago, we got involved in a cryptocurrency case and intercepted some cash money that was going to go most likely overseas to deal with some terrorism issues. A very unique case. The people were driving by the police department en route to turn the money into crypto. The boyfriend was a retired military and younger couple, and they said, wonder if we're doing something right. So they stopped in here. We got involved in that case, and ended up involved $42,000 in cash that they had. The court signed that money over to us last week, so I'll make Russ happy here shortly. I'm going to be handing him a little north of $42,000 cash from that case. So.
Good. Good work.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Fire District, I have a recommendation to authorize the purchase of a new solar generator at Station 21, at a cost of $65,000.
And this is a budgeted item for this year. The Station 21 generator is the original generator. So kind of a black flag, and it takes approximately 60 weeks to get a generator in right now.
That's an unbelievable number.
So we got that going for us.
You could say a year and 2 months, it's okay.
I mean, we order it now, we don't get it till next year.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord.
Can,
For the generate things.
Yeah, it does.
Nice work.
Stand it over.
Is there a motion to approve the purchase of this solar generator?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr.
Anything else, Steve? Okay. Consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. I passed up planning and zoning.
It's over. I
I
spoke to her last year.
You're dead, you're dead. Brian, you got anything?
Nah, we're good.
Out from underwater yet?
Yeah, I do got something. We got the new roller out today.
This is Gary.
And we didn't bury it.
Good.
But, with the new roller and the track, we was able to put down 37 tons of asphalt. got ground behind the new barn, we were putting in the bins for gravel. So thank you very much for getting that for us.
Good. Proceed.
We'd like Mr. Pacheco to help you guys next time you do something.
Tell you what, it'll be the worst asphalt job you've ever seen in your life.
We've seen pretty bad ones.
Yeah, well, I would be good at that.
I didn't do it a couple years ago, but about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people would like to see at the bottom of the asphalt.
Oh, I do.
Fair enough.
That may or may not have been where I was headed.
Yeah, I kinda got that.
Okay.
Ponds and more. Maybe we'll accommodate some cement shoes for it.
Any staff updates?
Not at this time.
Anybody else?
Nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw. Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.